what'd you make of what Boogie did last night? How impressive was his game 2 after what he did in game 1?
Well, if you know Boogie Cousins and you know about basketball, this is what he does. He has amazing offensive skill. Not only be able to shoot the basketball from deep at 6'10", his passing ability is right up under his ability, his versatility from the offense being able to shoot it from all parts of the court. Mid-range game, also has a low post game. That's why all the news about Boogie Cousins joining the Warriors, like, geez, now this is piling on. They're adding another all-star. And the thing about Boogie that becomes so important with KD being out is because with Kevon Looney in the game, Toronto and Nick Nurse had a great game plan. We're not going to guard 3 of them. We're only going to guard Klay. We're only going to guard Steph. And now you have to have an offensive threat. And he says, like the coaches teach you, when you're learning basketball, every time you get the basketball, be a triple threat. Be able to shoot, pass, or dribble every time you get it. Boogie Cousins, his fundamentals are very, very good at that. We saw last night and in game number 1 his exceptional passing ability. We saw him make some shots, but then also we saw him be a problem in the low post because he can put you into foul trouble. The big men of Toronto, they stayed in foul trouble.
Yep.
And if you get them in foul trouble, the Warriors are going to beat you at the free throw line. So I thought Boogie Cousins, given what he's overcome, given the reputation that he has as a selfish person, in his biggest moments in his career, he played a sensational game. They don't get this win if Boogie Cousins does not play the type of basketball he played in game number 2. And Steve Kerr did a good job because he could have went with 3 or 4 different starting lineups, choosing to utilize Boogie. He told Boogie before the game, asked him what he thought about it. Boogie said, about damn time.
Right. And you also saw Boogie from the opening tip. I think part of it was probably because he knew he was expected to play about 20 minutes. And so he wasn't worried about foul trouble or fatigue the way you would normally if you think you're going to play 35 to 40 minutes. From the opening tip, he's up in Marc Gasol. And he has played defensively. Now, they haven't really forced him to guard the pick and roll much. And Mark Jackson kept bringing this up. I'm not sure why Toronto hasn't done that. But he has the best defensive rating of any Warrior that's played big minutes in this series. When he's on the court, they have an 88 defensive rating, which would be the best in the league by about 12 points over the course of a season from a team perspective. He had the best plus-minus on a per-minute and total basis on the team yesterday. And once Kevon Looney goes out, if Boogie's not available, you're taking Andrew Bogut, who was just playing in Australia a few months ago, or a month and a half ago, and he would have had to play 30 minutes or 25 plus minutes.
No, Jordan Bell would have been back playing.
And Jordan Bell would have been the other one. Absolutely right. Who they tried to start in game 1 and saw that he is right now not equipped for this level, it would appear.
He's not a center.
Right. You're going to be undersized. You're going to be giving up some size without adding. When you go undersized, you want to add some offense, but Jordan Bell's not adding a ton of offense for you. But for Boogie, who was going into this year in the argument for best NBA players ever, who had never played in a playoff game, to get his first taste of playoff basketball, then suffer an injury that when the day after that injury, they said it was an 8-week recovery time. And the general response to that is, man, that is optimistic. It has been less than 7 weeks, and he was critical for them yesterday in obviously the biggest game he's ever played in by a factor of 10. You have to be happy for Boogie Cousins to fight his way back into the lineup, to work so hard, and then to have this moment where he was really important for them on both ends of the court.
Quick question, Steve, before we move on. You said he was the difference maker last night. How much of Kerr starting him was a psychological edge for him, knowing, he wasn't going to come off the bench, that Kerr had that confidence in him? And how much did that help?
Listen, when you're a starter, you're a starter. It's a mentality. All right? And you don't, as a bench player, there's only a few guys that can do both. All right? It's a strange combination, but yes, it shows confidence in them. Plus, after the game, Boogie Cousins talked about, he texted Draymond after the game and said, believe in me. I need you guys to believe in me. And that was the message throughout the locker room. And then once they extended the start to him, he felt the confidence of everything that he had been saying. His teammates and the staff did believe in him.
All right, Nick, how important is Klay to the Warriors' chances in Game 3?
If Klay doesn't play Game 3, unless Kevin Durant has some miraculous comeback, if they're out Klay and KD, they cannot win. Their offense does not exist when it's. We saw yesterday once Klay went out. The Raptors all of a sudden they're
Here
like.
Here we go again,
what?
Nick. This is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, I understand.
Hey, now, hey.
Okay, I'm going to stand by it.
Well, explain to people what the Philadelphia Eagles means.
Well, the Philadelphia Eagles was once they lost Carson Wentz. I said they can't win the Super Bowl. But
and what they do.
These are little apples. These are little apples and bowling balls here. We watched the Warriors lose Klay Thompson, and the Raptors all of a sudden played a junior high defense, box and one. Mm-hmm. You never see that in the NBA. What that means is we think there's one guy on your team that can hurt us. The rest of the guys, we're going to beat the elbows and the blocks, and we're going to dare anyone else to do anything.
And it was effective.
It was incredibly effective. I know Steph said after the game they were playing a janky defense, and my teammates took advantage of it. No, they didn't. Your teammates could do nothing. Like, it wasn't on Steph. And so if you don't have Klay or KD, you cannot beat a team as good as Toronto. You cannot win Game 3. Now, Klay has never missed a playoff game in his career. He's 120 of 120 in the last 5 years, 101 of 101. Even in the regular season, since he came into the league, they've played a total of 760 games. He's played in 735 of them. We thought he was seriously injured in Game 1 of the finals last year when JR looked like he almost broke his damn ankle. And Klay started Game 2, and I think played 34 minutes. So I wouldn't put it past Klay. But we saw Chris Paul tweak a hamstring and not be able to play in Game 6 or 7 last year for the Houston Rockets. If they don't have Klay, they do not have enough offense to win until Kevin Durant comes back.
I have seen the Warriors, and I do believe in their system. During a game, a player getting hurt compared to, I got 3 days to prepare. So Golden State, huge advantage for them, him getting hurt in game number 2. Because now they can adjust. It's not as if they have to adjust in the game. Can they come up with a game plan that for 48 minutes that they can beat Toronto? I believe that they can. So I'm not on that theory that game number 3 is over with if Klay's not on the court. Steph is too dangerous. Iggy is dangerous. Draymond is dangerous. Boogie Cousins, they still got 4 All-Stars. I mean, and a guy that was a finals MVP on the team. Now, I can understand what you're trying to say, but in this, with these Warriors and the way the role players are empowered to be able to do more, it's only one game. Yes, they can win game number 3 without Klay. It does hurt them. The reason why they play the box and one defense is you play a box and one as if they have one shooter. And the rest of their players are post players, you have the box to be able to defend the rest of those post players, and you extend the defense only on that one player. It was very, very effective. But in game number 3, you can believe that the backups for Golden State, Steve Kerr will put them in a position that they're going to be able to knock down wide open shots because they will have wide open shots.
If Klay's out, though, they have 4 All-Stars in name only. Steph is an All-Star for what he does offensively. Draymond's an All-Star because of his All-NBA Defensive Player of the Year level defense. Iggy made an All-Star team 7 years ago, 7 years ago, and for a player he no longer is. And Boogie Cousins, we just spent time giving Boogie Cousins a ton of praise, and he deserves a ton of praise. But it's because he found a way to get 11 points.
There is a thing in sports called muscle memory. It's like right now, if I jump under a bench press, typically at the combine they have a 225 test. I can get under a bench press right now and throw up 225 8 to 10 times. I haven't bench pressed in 5 years. But it's muscle memory. When your body has been put in situations, not only your muscles but your brain. That's what Iguodala gets through. He gets through on charisma. He gets through on knowledge. He gets through on strength. Boogie Cousins, I believe, is only going to get better. He hadn't played in 45 days.
Oh, I agree with that.
And now he's played a couple days. Draymond will be far more aggressive, and they will come up with some looks for Steph that he will be able to get rid of Van Fleet in that box and one. Put him on the baseline, set some picks for him, have him come all the way to the top that way compared to starting him at the top, which gave them problems in game number 2 when that defense, that was the first they saw of it.
You, my friend, are on an unbelievable streak of predicting injuries and how long people are going to be out. From what you saw last night, did it just look like a little
lot easier? The hamstring's easier to play with for a basketball player than a calf or an ankle, because a hamstring, you can put a wrap around the hamstring and it limits your movement. Most of this is Klay's fault, because on that three-pointer,
he tried to draw a foul.
He was trying to draw contact and put his left leg out, and his shoe hit on his heel, and you don't have any traction on your heel, so it slides out from under him. His body couldn't anticipate the ground not being there, and he strained his hamstring by overextending that left leg.
I want to be real clear on one thing. I think Klay's going to play. I think Klay is going to find
I don't think anybody knows. Steve Kerr comments after the game, Klay walked straight to the locker room. There's a reason. There is a serious strain in that hamstring. And when they tell you after the game, I keep saying this all the time, how do you know how severe it is? Do they ask for an MRI? MRIs are expensive. X-rays are less expensive. So if they think they could diagnose it with an X-ray, they would spend less money. But as we've seen with the Warriors, all their players of recent, and typically that MRI lets you know that there's some severity to the injury.
Obviously, I don't know if he's going to play. But if I'm just simply saying, if I had to bet, I would bet that Klay Thompson's not going to snap his consecutive playoff game streak. I think he's going to play, and he'll probably play well. But if he doesn't play, I do not believe the Warriors have enough offense to beat Toronto, even in Oracle.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.